So, as per tradition, this morning I watched AHSOKA in the morning with coffee and breakfast because that's what I would do on Wednesdays in the morning when Obi-Wan Kenobi came out, Boba Fett, Mandalorian, etc. And I got to see it again. I saw things in it I hadn't noticed before. I'll probably watch it a third time just because I want to get everything out of it that I need to understand what's going on. Now, it is true, you don't have to have watched Clone Wars or Rebels to know who these people are and to know what they're up to. There are definitely new characters even for those shows, Baylan Skoll, Shin Hati, Morgan Elsbeth, and it just look. These are well-written characters, well-acted, and it's Star Wars. I couldn't believe it. There's an opening crawl. When did we ever have an opening crawl in anything that looked good since Revenge of the Sith? Okay, now, does it make sense if there's one for Mandalorian? It would have made sense if there had been one for Kenobi, but I let it go. Doesn't make sense for anything with Boba Fett. But with Ahsoka, because she is tied so closely to the main story, it works. It freaking works, okay? And I loved it. I want to talk a little bit about the characters now. First off, Sabine Wren is my least favorite. She's abrasive. She's childish. I don't see how she would ever fit into the Mandalorian culture as Bo-Katan and even Din Djarin live it. She's kind of odd, I guess, in a way that makes her she's somebody I don't care about. She's somebody I find to be abrasive. When I see her, I just cringe. There are points of her that are good, like in Wolves and a Door and World Between Worlds. The character was where she should be. I'm not sure she should actually be learning how to use the lightsaber. Then we got Hera Syndulla. Hera Syndulla is the daughter of Champ Syndulla. She's a general in the Rebellion and in the New Republic army, and she's kind of a meh. Again, I don't find her as abrasive as Sabine, but I do find her to be meh. She's now the point where Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who by the way is married to Ewan McGregor, when she's challenging the shipyard's manager, that was pretty cool. Now, what is Sabine's issue? She wants to find Ezra. And that's what her mission is about. And it's joined by trying to stop Thrawn from coming back. Okay. And it's going to be interesting to see where this goes, and will Ezra be Ezra when they find him? Okay. And the reason why I don't like the way Sabine behaves is that when women behave flippant, callously, recklessly, it's not how a woman behaves. That's how a guy behaves. So when I think about Sabine, I think Filoni may have served himself better to have that Mandalorian be a guy. Okay. but we have Sabine, and that's who we've got. So it's going to be interesting seeing her go forward. Maybe by the end of the show, she'll be better. But let's talk about the Witches of Dathomir. This is Mother Talzin, who is, I think, the only person in that galaxy far, far away that Palpatine was frightened of. Now, if you remember Mother Talzin, she was the leader of a sect of witches on Dathomir called the Night Sisters. One of the episodes in Clone Wars was she was sending really awful dreams to Dooku. She wanted to kill Dooku. And she ends up sending Asajj Ventress and 2 other of her witches to go and kill Dooku, and it didn't work. But she's very much a powerful dark side user, and her, like, some of the stuff that you see Morgan do are some of the things that Talzin probably taught her. Okay, the Witches of Dathomir they appeared in the book The Courtship of Princess Leia, and they're introduced riding rancors. They ride rancors at the battle. So long before Boba Fett shows up with Pootie, his whatever that thing's called, we had in the EU the Witches of Dathomir riding rancors. Now here's Morgan. She's obviously has an affinity to the dark side. Her master is Grand Admiral Thrawn. She is a witch. Okay, and she uses the magic that they used, which, I mean, you look at Sith alchemy and the magic that they're using, it's really not, I would say it's really not that different. I mean, it is, and it's not. But again, remember, Palpatine feared Mother Talzin, okay? And Morgan Elsbeth kind of carries this stuff forward, okay? She's a great character. I mean, she really is a villain. Let's talk about the antagonist. Ray Stevenson as Baylan Skoll. Baylan Skoll was a Jedi that disappeared at the end of the Clone Wars. He is now a mercenary. Yes, he uses the Force, dark side manner. His lightsaber is orange, not red. He is a very intriguing character because he has an acquaintance, at least, with Anakin Skywalker. Okay, he knew Anakin. And there's something of a connection to the prequels with him. And it makes him, I think, probably the most interesting character in the show. And it just breaks my heart that Ray Stevenson, God bless his soul, isn't going to be there to finish the roll up. And then his apprentice, played by Ivanka Sakno, named Shin Hati, is I think she's probably one of the best actresses in this because she shows deference to him in a very subtle way. She just does what he asks her to, and with a question. And she's got no emotion at all. She's not a typical character, and I'm intrigued by her as well. Like, was she part of his world when he was still a Jedi? Did he discover her somewhere? Did he adopt her? These are the things you have to ask. But she has the look of absolute no emotion, almost like a shark's eyes. There's absolutely nothing there. And I think she's kind of scary that way. Now again, neither Baylan Skoll nor Shin are Sith. They're dark side users of the Force. He used to be a Jedi, and then to make a living, he turned to being a mercenary. But one of the things I like about is the fact that he is sentimental about the past and about the Jedi that he knew. He knew Anakin. He knew who Ahsoka Tano was. And it brings out nostalgia, sentimentality, and that makes him an antagonist, not a villain. Morgan Elsbeth is a villain. She is a dark side wielding witch, Night Sister. Okay. And Baylan Skoll is a former Jedi. And, once a Jedi, always a Jedi. Okay. So, after this little interlude, let's talk about
For 10 long weeks, the Star Wars company labored on the suburban London sound stages, bringing to life a film that had begun as an idea with George Lucas 3 years before.
Now, I want to say this. There are two galaxies here. There's the one we know and the one that Thrawn was thrown in at the end of Rebels by Ezra and the Purgles. It's going to be interesting to see how they do this. What they did, or what Morgan Elsbeth needed, was that enormous hyperdrive to, make a portal to go to that galaxy to get him, to bring Thrawn through the portal. It seems we've got 6 more episodes, and it seems like we're going to see him sooner than I thought we would. And this is going to be very interesting to see how we go to that galaxy to bring him back, because I am going to say this. Likely, they will get him back through that portal or whatever Elsbeth wants to build, and Ezra will probably come with. My thing is, will we see any of the original trilogy characters? Well, I know we're probably going to have Anakin either in flashbacks or as a Force ghost. I prefer both. First off, the red thread through Star Wars is Anakin Skywalker. Okay, he is the connection Ahsoka has to the main story. And he's sort of like the person in the middle with all these spokes coming out of different relationships. And one of those is going to be Baylan Skoll. He knew him. They probably fought together. They could have even gone on missions together after Anakin became a full-fledged Jedi. And it's very interesting to me speculating what we could see, what Filoni has in mind, okay? And I have to say this. If this is the case, that you've got Baylan Skoll thinking about his time as a Jedi, and thinking about Anakin, and, of course, knowing Ahsoka was Anakin's apprentice, that's going to factor big in where the story goes, okay? So we've got different things going on. We've got Sabine's, I think, unworthiness to really carry a lightsaber. She's not that Force sensitive. Hu Yang, the droid basically says, "You are the least Jedi of all the Jedi I've ever known." And I actually thought he was going to show up with Luke. Because, let's face it, that makes more sense. Luke is trying to revive the Jedi Order, and he would need that droid to help him. Okay? He would need the history the droid could give him about the Jedi. But we've got Sabine, her subplot with AHSOKA, AHSOKA's subplot, the main plot, finding Thrawn and stopping him. Trying to find Ezra. Hera's issue with trying to get the New Republic to understand that there's another war coming. Morgan wants to bring her boss back, and Baylan and Shin, kind of like her henchmen, but I have a feeling Morgan is going to have a rebellion on her hands. Because Baylan, he's going to be very complicated, which is going to be really interesting. But I give the first 2 episodes A pluses. It's actually a story. Okay, it's actually something to look forward to, where they're building everything from. Okay, so next Tuesday, back at 9, sit and watch it. And I'm telling you, if you haven't seen it, see it. Don't listen to the black pills. Just have fun watching the show and enjoy it. Okay, because I went to bed last night thinking we actually saw Star Wars. Now, please bring back the 3 main characters, at least for cameos. That's all I ask. This is Steph, signing out. I'll see you around the galaxy.